Hello everyone. Now we'll know about what exact the concept about to the Java Bean or the Java Bean classes and the JSP. Java Bean is a Java class that should follow the following conventions. It should have a no argument constructor, should be a serializable, should provide a method to set and get the value of the properties known as getter and setter method. So this one is simply the somehow the some points which one is uh, implemented by the Java Bean. Java Bean is a simple Java class, and which type of property which one is of that Java class is that one is have no argument constructor. It's a serializable and get and set the values of the properties. Now, why use the Java Bean? According to the Java, it is a reusable software component. Means this Java class, which is the Java Bean. What is a Java Bean? That is simple a Java class, and that is a reusable software component. A bin encapsulated many objects into a one object. Like with the help of the bin, we can, or maybe with the help of the class, we can create an object, and which one is again encapsulate the properties about the another object. That is the theory behind it. Now we can access this object from the multiple places. We can access the content with the help of this object about to the Java Bean. Java Bean is a simple Java class. We create an object of that and it will be again encapsulated on other objects. Now it is provide the easy maintenance. Now JSP use bin action tag. Then if we want to implement that Java Bean, it comes with somehow some tag or maybe action tag. Now the action tag is used. Use bean action tag is used to locate and instantiate a bin class. Then syntax to the particular use bean with the action tag. That one is JSP with the use bean ID is equal to whatever the name, then the scope. That one is scope come with again with the page, with the request, session and application. With the page, request, session and application, we will know about in detail with these four concepts. What exact the page and the request is, or maybe the session and request is, and application, all the comparison about these four. Now the class, that is a package name dot class name, type package name dot class name. Now bin name, whatever the bin name is, and then whatever the expression which means comes under, and it end up with the bin class or maybe use bin. Now attribute and usage of JSP use bin action type. Attribute and use. ID is attribute which means identify the bin. Scope which means define the scope about to the bin, that is scope is related to only the page or request or session or application or the all. By default the scope of bin is up to the page. Okay, now the page specify that you can use this bin within the JSP page. If your application contains 4 JSP pages, then the application is the overall thing, pages is a sub part, then particular page 1 send a request to the page 2, or page 1 have its own session, or the combination of page 1 and page 2 have a session. That is simply the concept related to each other. So by default bin have the scope up to the page. Now the request from any JSP page, like page 1 send a request to the another page, that is a request. Session from any JSP page in the same session, whether the process the same request or not. That is a particular any JSP page is the same session, whether processes the same request, like a different content, application content of 4 JSP pages, then whatever the session contains 2 or 3 or total pages for the execution, like that one is a session. Now application for any JSP page in the same application, that one is a simple application contains for example 4 JSP pages and it is including as a one application, right? This one is simply the Scope are related to the page, request, session or application about to the user bin, use bin. Now simple example about to the JSP use bin action type. The example, we are simply invoking the method of the bin class, how exact bin class is created and how the application will be a work, and how that bin class object is created and how it executed. Calculator.java, it's a simple bin class. Okay, it contains a code about to the cube method, or the calculator class have its own method that is a cube. Now the JSP index.jsp page, that one is contained about the use bin ID is obj, class is a com.java.point.calculator. Calculator is a class. This one is com.java.point is a package. It contains somehow another function or methods which one is we can use under the calculator class. Now we'll call the obj is an object of bin class, which means we call the cube function, right? We call the cube function. Now it prints a value about to the whatever the content is. This is simply the creation about the bin class and how exact the JSP page will be utilized it and executed. Now the set property and get property under the JSP used for developing a web application with the Java bin. We use the set and get property action tag at the time of developing a web application with the Java bin. When we use the Java bin at the time of that, it utilize the set and get properties. Now, the example about the set property, that one is simply the set properties, which one is if you have to set all the values in an incoming request in the bin. That one is example of the JSP set properties property action tag. Set property action tag, how exact it works. Set property, which means gets a set the value under the bin class. That means set property name is a bin and property. That means if we mention a star, it sets all the properties. Now the set property action tag, if you have to set a value, that is simply the set property name is a bin and property is a username. If we want to mention the specific value as a username, then property is a username and value is a Kumar. Kumar is a username specific value. That one is simply the set properties use. That one is a name, that is bin. Now the property is a username and the specific value of username is a Kumar. Now get property action tag, that one is get property name is an instant of bin, property is a property name. For example, get property name is obj and property is a name. That one is simply the explanation about the get property. Now the example of bin development in the JSP, how exact bin is developed. Index.html page, which one is calling the process.jsp page, right? It's submitting something, a user ID and password. Now processing.jsp, that generate the bin, use bin ID is u, class is org.ssit.user, that is again a somehow existing class. And then set properties with the star and name is u. Now with all the properties like name, password and email, it will be executed. Now the user.java contains a package.org.ssit and the class is user, and it contains whatever the parameter which one is passes, or it may be a set the value. This one is simply the creating about to the bin class and utilized in the Java code. This is simple explanation about to the what exact the Java bin classes and JSP is. Thank you.